welcome to Manny's Motivation. This week I wanted to talk about my experience in lockdown and how everything's been, from breakups to being made redundant and things. So I just wanted to talk about like how that's impacted my mental health and the ways I went about it, my low days, my high days, days where I felt like I couldn't continue and things like that. This is not a video like, oh my god, you know, why me, feel bad, feel sorry. No, this is about how like your mindset helps everything and how your mindset like changes all that. So what I wanted to talk about was, from the start, was, let's start with my experience at the beginning of lockdown. So when we went into lockdown, we know everything was hard, we couldn't go out and things like that. So at the beginning of lockdown, I got broken up with, which is fine. I'm so grateful for, because it's taught me a lot of things about myself, about how I needed to focus on myself and how I needed to develop on myself, and things that was working for me and wasn't working for me. Like, that was the sole time that it pushed me to just focus on myself, and things that, like, for instance, I didn't realize how much bad anxiety I got from this, like from prior to my relationship and stuff, and I didn't realize how much things I needed to work on myself, and just how unhappy I was within myself, and how I used to depend on the other person, like I mentioned in the previous videos, about my self-worth. My self-esteem was just very low, down in the gutter. Don't get me wrong, like, there was days when I bounced up and I was doing yoga, doing meditation, doing everything, but I realized one consistent pattern, right? I didn't work through my emotions. I kind of just covered them with a blanket and didn't go through it. Obviously things were subconsciously playing at the back of my mind, going around like a merry-go-round and things like that, but I realized that my habits changed as well. So I started working on myself in the sense of, you know, as I mentioned, meditation, yoga. I had down days as well, don't get me wrong, but then they weren't down days, they were more down moments, which started helping, like, which helped me work through my emotions and break down my emotions and things like that. And I learned to appreciate myself, and I learned to appreciate the circle around me, which was very uplifting and helped me through this. And I know a lot of people been through like lockdown experiences, and I've heard like the amount of statistics I've heard about people breaking up and things like that and not being able to make it through lockdown and things. But the thing is, you can't think of it as like, oh my god, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. It's the best thing, because you end up focusing on yourself. And you know what, the way you can look at it is that it's an end of a chapter and you need to move on and you need to work on a new chapter. Life is always about adapting. Sorry about that. Life is always about adapting, changing and learning new things, right? The thing is, it's so easy when we go through things like this, right, to be like, why me? And we start looking at ourselves and we start self-blaming, which is very wrong. Like, you need to correct that and think, okay, well, how can I improve on myself? What do I need to do? Or like that self-blaming and like victimizing yourself and be like, oh my god, why me, and stuff like that is not going to help you. Because when you start going in that mindset, you're going to start attracting negativity as well. And I used to be that person. I used to be like, I've noticed this, especially in like Indian households and stuff like that, that we always like to play victim, and we always like to be like, why me? Why does this happen to me? And don't get me wrong, like, once upon a time when I was in a relationship, that's what I used to think. I used to think, why me? Why me? And then I used to add all my happiness through that person. I used to use them as a void filler. So I depended on that, and that's very wrong. Your happiness shouldn't depend on anyone. They should be adding value to your happiness and not being your sole happiness, which is what I've learned now, and I didn't learn at the time. But I'm so thankful for this experience, and I'm so thankful for everything that lockdown put me through, because it's made me a lot more resilient. And like, I got made redundant as well. And you're gonna be like, why is she smiling? Why is she laughing? I've been there before, right? So that's why I'm familiar with the experience. But the thing is, right, I could sit there and be like, oh my god, why me? Why did this happen to me? And stuff like that. That's not going to help me. That's not going to help you as well. Like, the thing you have to think about is, okay, I've got pushed down. Fine. How do I look at it? For me, I looked at everything like, that's not holding me back now. I can, you know, move forward. I could do the things that I wanted to do. Like, life pushes you, because we get very comfortable in a position where we got a job, whether it's a relationship. Even though we know it's wrong, we get very comfortable. Like Jay Shetty said, that we get comfortable with familiar pain. And that's what I was like. I had a relationship for 3 years. I was very comfortable with the familiar pain. And I didn't value myself enough. I didn't love myself enough. I didn't respect myself enough, and I was very scared to think, how am I going to begin without this person, or how am I going to move forward? And the thing is, you know what, life goes on. Like, you've survived before without a person, you could survive again. And at the end of the day, your life is your life, your journey is your journey. Like, it shouldn't, no one should be held accountable for that, right? Whether we lose a job, whether we lose a person and things like that, you have to think, okay, what do I need to do? How do I learn? And one other thing that I've learned, especially recently, is, what are my emotions trying to teach me? For me, my emotions were trying to teach me to be resilient, and that's always been a thing in my life, where whether it's leaving home, whether it's going through domestic violence, whether it's going through heartache, whether that's going through loss of jobs and things like that, it's always taught me to bounce back. Like, don't get me wrong, I've had my down days, I've had my crying and things like that, but now my mindset shows, okay, there's going to be better days ahead. And I'm very blessed with friends that pick me up and cheer me up, but I don't automatically always rely on friends. I want to try and help myself. And how do I help myself? What do I do? So what I've done recently is journaling's helped me a lot as well. Or sometimes when you feel down and when you feel like the world's against you, it's not, trust me, it's not. It's always trying to teach you, better you, make you learn, make you adapt. So you have to think about your mindset, and mindset is so key. Like, you have to think, okay, if you're feeling negative and you're thinking, okay, everything's happened to me, this is that, when you have a negative mindset, you're going to attract negative. I've learned that. I've been there. When I was in a negative mindset, all I used to attract was negativity. Now I'm in a better mindset, a positive mindset. And I'm not talking about being positive every day, because that's impossible. Like, I'm going to be real with you. There's been days where I've had my low days and things like that, where I've been like, oh, okay. And sometimes you do feel like you're fighting the whole world. But then what you have to bear in mind, life is not always a straight journey, right? Life goes up and down. And when you're trying to improve yourself, adapt to new habits and trying to adapt to new lifestyle, you have to look at it this way, right? It's never going to be an easy journey. It's never going to be a straight journey. And you have to just try hard, and you have to just keep going. No matter what, you have to keep going. And sometimes what helps me is appreciating. Gratitude is key. Because once you are thankful for your experience and you're thankful for what you're doing, you will learn to be looking at life in a positive mirror and a positive angle, right? And you'll learn to appreciate yourself. Like, for me, I had to look at myself and be like, okay, well, I've left home. I am living out by myself. I'm paying my own rent. I'm journaling now. I'm helping myself, making better choices. I'm doing Manny's motivation. Like, there's so many angles you can look at that, right? Don't get me wrong, it's gonna be hard. There's gonna be days where you're crying, and I was sitting there once, like the other week, I was sitting there with my friend and I was just crying and crying and crying. And I felt tired. I'm not gonna lie, I felt tired. I was like, oh my god, here we are back again. But then also part of me realized that, you know what, like, you can't just sit there and be like, oh, you're gonna have moments, and it's okay to understand your feelings and stuff. But when you start being self-pity and self-wallowing, that's when things go wrong, because you're not helping yourself. You're sitting there in your pool of, oh, I can't do this, oh my god, why is this happening to me? Listen, we all go through heartaches, we all go through losses, we all go through bad times in our life, right? But these bad times teach you something. They teach you value. They teach you things that you haven't learned before. They'll teach you mistakes that you were like, okay, let's not repeat this mistake, let's move forward. How do we improve this? So it's always about improvements. Like, I really, really think now, and I really, really appreciate that everything's taught me to move forward in a positive manner. And I'm not talking about like positivity, like, oh my god, everything's rainbows, everything's unicorns. No, it's taught me about my mindset in the sense of, okay, how do I educate myself? How do I do this? Like, for instance, if I have a down day and I go for my walk, right, I'll listen to upbeat music. Or if I want to educate myself and things like that, I'll listen to a podcast. For instance, if I'm feeling like my self-worth is a bit down, I'll listen to a podcast about self-worth and things like that. And I even also got like a self-love journal, like on Amazon. It's really cheap. You can Google it up and find ways like that, and that makes you question things about yourself and make you realize things in a different perspective. Because sometimes when we go about like self-love or self-value or how to be adaptable, sometimes when we journal, we don't know what to write, and we don't want to journal because it's pouring out our whole feelings. And sometimes when you write all these feelings down, you're like, well, I haven't found a solution. But there's ways to go about it. It's like structure, questions, and you can Google up like questions and things like that, or do a worry tree that'll help break things down. So you have to realize and find out what works for you. And I have to think, okay, well, I'm feeling down. I've had all these losses, or whatever you want to call them, right? You think about it, okay, what have I learned from this? I've been here before. What have I learned from this? There's been times where I used to cry to myself and I'd be like, I can't do this. I can't make it. And the thing is, we always want to go back to our old ways because it's something we're familiar with, right? And it's easier. It's easy to blame the world. It's easy to be like, why is this happening to me? Why? And it's easy, right? But then that is not going to help you get a new job. That's not going to help you work on yourself. That's not going to help you, let's say, when you go into your new relationship, improve on your new relationship. That's not going to help you in any way. Like, so you have to think, what are the steps I'm taking that's going to help me? I'm not saying go 24/7 and be on the go, or be journaling 24/7. Do this. Have your time, have your moment, have your cry, have whatever you need to do. Then be like, okay, wipe your tears and say, I've got this. And be like, okay, what are my next steps? What am I going to do to help myself? I had my crying, I had my low days and stuff like that. I've had some like days where I was like, okay, I don't feel it as much. But then I realized that if you give up on yourself, no one's going to help you. No one's going to do anything. You have to do everything yourself. You're born alone, you die alone. You have to do everything yourself. If you don't help yourself, no one's going to help you, because they'll be like, well, that person's not helping themselves. Why should I help them? And there's so many factors surrounding this. So if you're not helping yourself, one, you're showing people that you don't value yourself, you don't respect yourself, you don't believe in yourself, you don't think you can achieve greatness. Everyone can achieve everything that they want to achieve. It's just we hold our barriers. We are our own barriers, and we are the people that don't, let's say, kind of, with all this like self-doubt and things like that, we can't do this, we can't do that. You never try, you never know, right? That I could say this for the video and things like that. When I do videos and things, I always think, oh, who's gonna listen, who's gonna think of this, who's gonna do that? But I do it for myself. Like, if it helps one person, amazing. Like, at the end of the day, you have to do things. You never try, you never know, right? And at the end of the day, you think about it, yeah, you're holding yourself from your biggest success and your greatest success. Like, do you really want to be your own barrier and be like the person that can't do it? Don't prove anyone else wrong, prove yourself wrong. Like, that's what I tell myself now. Like, my competition isn't my friends, isn't anyone around me, right? And I'm not comparing anyone to me, because their path is a different path, right? My path is a different path. And you have to compare yourself to yourself and look back at, okay, what do I need to improve? What have I changed? And be grateful as well of the changes that you have made and things that you have adapted. Like, you'll start seeing that, oh, I'm happier now. Oh my God, I'm doing this now. I'm doing things that I've never done before. And you'll start being so grateful for yourself, because when you're grateful, right, you start seeing the world in a happier place, and you'll start seeing yourself in a happier light and a positive light, and that in itself is already progress. And that's going to help you get so much more further than having a negative mindset and having a victimized mindset saying, why me? Because if you want to say, why me, you're going to be sitting in the corner for the rest of your life. But if you say, why not me? What is this moment choosing to teach me? You're going to get further and you're going to help yourself. So that's all for Maddie's motivation. I hope you guys are all staying safe during COVID and looking after yourself. And I hope you have a lovely week. And I hope you have enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.